Good morning, it's me, Dave Crane. Hope you're feeling good, hope you're feeling groovy, and it's time now to do another Turbo Daily. This time all about stress. Now, before I go on about everything, let me just do one thing. I want to introduce you to somebody who you might have met before. Come with me, my little girl Maya. Now, the reason I want to introduce her is because this is the key to stress management. It's not having a kid, because I promise you to give you a little bit more stress sometimes. But have a look at this. Maya.
Hello.
Just say hi.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good.
And what should you say to people who get really wound up and stressed up and unhappy? What should you say? What's your advice?
I don't know.
Would you say don't worry?
Yeah.
Chill out? Okay, I love you. Now that is my gorgeous daughter. Why would I share that with you? Well, very simply because one of the first things to know about stress management is who is it going to benefit? Does it really matter if you get wound up? If you do get wound up about stuff, and everybody does at certain points, then you've got to have a default setting that puts you back into perspective again, puts you back to normal again, so you can say, you know what, is it that important? Is it really important that I spend all my time worrying about it? And can I do much about it? A lot of reasons why people get stressed are varied. Some people get stressed because they can't affect the outcome, or because things get out of control, or because there's too much going on. Now, the reason I showed you Maya is because the only thing that matters as a dad is making sure that she's okay. My job in this world is to make sure that she's okay. I've had a great life. I've done lots of things that are interesting, lots of things that are challenging. But for my daughter, I want to make sure she's got the best possible upbringing. So all the stress and all the grief and all the things that people go through on a daily basis, and yes, I go through the same thing, I can put them into perspective. Is this helping where I want to put Maya in the future? And if the answer is no, let it go. So if somebody insults me or gives me extra work I've got to do, or turns around and gives me a really hard time, or tells me that they don't like the work I do, blah, 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 you know the things that really wind you up? I've got to put in perspective. Does it affect the way that I can provide for my daughter and my wife and make sure that they've got a good future? If the answer is no, then who cares? It's people's opinion. Now, I've told you before about a couple of things that are key to being successful. And it's all about understanding what's in it for me. Not as in Dave Crane, but as in yourself. What's in it for every single thing that you do? Because that's what people are thinking. What's in it for them whenever you interact with them? So when they get stressed or they get upset, it's only because you haven't proven to them that you're caring about them and you really want them to have the very best. If you find that you're getting these kind of things on a regular basis, it's time to reconsider a relationship. So let's get back to stress management. Now, somewhere in the line, my dog's in the garden. There she is, enjoying the spade. I think she's digging her way out, planning to escape and start a colony somewhere. Anyway, that's Ash. So going back to stress management, first thing is to understand what matters and what doesn't matter. And I'm not going to spend all the time on this, what I'd like to, because of the fact that normally a podcast or a video cast is about 10 to 15 minutes. This would be like 3 hours. So I'll break it up into just stages and we'll get through quite a lot today. So where does it all come from? What creates stress? Well, stress is like a tension, isn't it? It's like a rubber band between what you can achieve and what you can't achieve. And part of that process is the ability to understand that when you're stressed, it's just because it's testing you, because you don't know the immediate answer, or because you have to make extra effort outside of your comfort zone to be able to get the achievements that you want. So not all stress is bad. Some stress is actually very good for you. If you weren't stressed at all, then you wouldn't get out of bed. You just stay there going, you know what, I'm not bothered, everything's cool. So you need a little bit of surface tension to be able to make you move forward. Now, in a previous session, I was going on about happiness and the rules of what makes somebody happy. The most happiest times in your life is actually that stress, that tension, that time that your rubber band is pulled to a certain degree and you're caught between what you can achieve in life and how difficult it is. Imagine you've got a grid like that. Now, if everything's easy, you won't make any effort. If everything is completely impossible, then you won't make any effort. It's got to be somewhere in the middle where it's difficult but enough to make you believe you can do it, so you can achieve it, so it's got a certain tension. Now that stress is very important, because the best times in your life are actually the times when you got super stressed but you managed to achieve. Remember that. Stress isn't just there to make you feel terrible, but the way that you relate to it can do all sorts of damage to you. It can manifest itself as all sorts of physical ailments up and down your body, and that's not a good way to be. So where does it all come from? This sense of danger, this sense of fear? Well, we get two fears that are inbuilt into us. Actually, three fear reactions that we get. We're scared of loud noises, and we're scared of heights. And we've got three reactions that we could do to them. They're inbuilt, because if you think about it, going back to nature, going back to the very early days of who we were as human beings, loud noises would be something that's coming to get us, and heights would mean that if you fall, you would probably die quite a lot. So don't do that. You get three ways of dealing with it. First of all, is we freeze. So we don't know what to do, so we're just going to freeze like this. The other one is we fight. So we just battle it, whatever it is, and the other one is we flee. So those three things are the reactions that we naturally have. But the problem is, this was all created for us to survive as cavemen, or as tribesmen, going out into the desert, or going out into the jungle, and we're listening for noises. All the time things creating noise around us, and we're listening for the things that would actually kill us. But the real world's not like that. The things that stress you out right now are things like credit cards, and arguments with the other half, and people at work not paying attention to what you're saying, and staff giving you a hard time. All the things that are like that, or will I get my holidays, or will I get my pay, or will I manage to do the sale, or will she love me, will he look after me, all these kind of things, which are very important, but they're not quite life or death. Be honest, are they going to kill you? Probably not. Annoy you, yes, and they could be around for quite some time. So it's that balance of how you react to them. Remember, you're set to have one reaction. That reaction is survival. And so everything is just to make sure that you survive all that, and it's never ever that bad. So you're going along the desert, or you're going along the jungle, and you hear this noise, and you're worried about it, and you focus on it. And you have to focus on it, because that noise, depending where it comes from, could be a number of different things. If that noise is coming from behind you, it could be that an animal is tracking you and the tribesman because you're hunting some creature, and maybe it's double back, or maybe something's hunting you. So you're looking behind you to wonder where that noise is coming from. If it comes from there, it could be a group of tribesmen who you get on really, really well with, friends who've come to join you, and that's fantastic and join you in the hunt. It comes from over there, it could be a group of tribesmen who you don't like, and they're predators, and they're going to take you out as well. Or it could be that you're hunting along, you hear another noise, and you're looking for somebody, and you want to join them. It could be a number of different things, but all you focus on is that. Now, when you think about why I'm talking about this, have you ever been to a party, and you're wearing your best clothes, and somebody says, you meet 100 people at the party, and 99 say you look fantastic, one person says you look terrible? What do you remember? The person said it was terrible. It's inbuilt. It's that caveman thing when you're hunting. You remember that because it could be danger for you. Well, it's not. It's just whether your dress or your suit or your shoes or your t-shirt or your hair looks nice. Who cares? It's not life or death, but your system is set up to deal with it like that. So that's putting it into perspective. Now, why was it at the very beginning I introduced you to the gorgeous Maya? Because your perspective is all about you, and everybody else's is all about you. If you can look to a higher power or a higher reason, then it means that you can dumb down the pressure. You can calm it down and make it more controllable. Now, I'm not a great believer in religious systems. I understand how they work, being a hypnotist, but I don't want to, at the same time, poo-poo everybody's spiritual beliefs. But one thing I can tell you, regardless of whether you believe in God or Allah or any of these different religions, which are all pretty valid for you, is that when somebody gets a gold in the Olympics, they thank God. Now, why is this? Why would they thank God when maybe they weren't particularly spiritual, but somehow they managed to do it? Well, here's the deal. And it's the same for football managers, it's the same for any element of sport. The belief in a higher power means that you can step out of yourself when it comes to effort and achievements and do more than you would normally do for you. Regardless of your system, whether you're, I won't mention all the different religions, but wherever you're from, if you believe in something bigger than you, there's a better chance that you'll achieve even more than you would do, because you're not doing it for you, and you don't believe that you're doing it with your own spiritual belief. You're doing it with a higher power that's then aiding you to get more out of your life. Does that make sense? By the way, all these noises you can hear in the background are not me. Let me just see if I can help you with this, by the way. This is outside my garden. The roadworks are continuing. It's only going to continue for 6 months, so it's nice and quiet. Oh, look, massive trench. There we go. Can you see this? La-di-da. And that big yellow thing in front of us, what's that? Can you guess? Probably an unexploded bomb. It's a big one. Or it could be a TARDIS, or it could be a spaceship. So we're talking about stress management, and my dog got stressed there. She wants to go out and have a look around, but she can't. So over time, you're getting wound up by many different things. So we've broken down what the principles of it are. It's inbuilt into your system to start worrying about stress, because that's what actually keeps you alive. That's what makes you get out of bed, but it also keeps you safe. But all the stress things that we have nowadays that wind you up are not related to that. Now, also, I said yesterday, I think it was yesterday, about only fighting the battles you know you can win. This is a major part of reducing stress. In fact, all the sessions I've done, have a look through the old ones, apart from the one where we go fighting zombies, because they're all related to things to make your life easier. So let's go back to that thing I just mentioned there, about only fighting the battles you know you can win. Now, the world is set up to drive you to spend more money. Right now, I'm talking to you on a phone. Is it the best phone? No, it was the best phone about a year ago. I need to update it and get a new phone. Why do I need to? Truth is, I don't. This phone does everything I need to. I can broadcast now to all around the world. The people in New York, people in Las Vegas, people in Middle East, all around the world are watching this right now. So why do I need to upgrade it? Well, because of consumers. Because the whole system is set up to make you a little bit more greedy because somebody else has got better than you. And the advertising says you are not quality unless you have what everybody says. Everybody's got better. I remember a couple of years ago they had a riot in the UK and people were smashing into shops and taking stuff out of it, and they weren't taking stuff because they were hungry, they weren't taking stuff because they were going to sell it, they were taking it because they just desired to have the best quality gear. So people were stealing training shoes because they were top training shoes, and phones and things like that. Not the black market, not for survival, because the consumer industries have become so strong that people just had to have these things that they desired, and they're willing to risk going to prison over it. And a lot of people got prosecuted at the same time, which is a good thing. So if you're getting stressed because of what everyone else is thinking, I'm going to, pardon my French, sorry, no offense, but if you're French, who gives the monkeys? Who cares? Who gives a shiny about what people think of you? It only matters what you think of yourself. Because let's put it in another perspective. And this is something that's kind of useful. A phrase I got told years ago. When I was 20, I worried about what everyone else was saying. Then I turned 40. And at 40, I didn't care what everybody else was saying. And then I turned 60, and I realized nobody was talking about me anyway. And there you go. It's a real balance of what people are thinking about you and what you actually are as a person. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is one day, when you've got one day left in your life, you want to be able to turn around and say, yeah, I had a great time. I really enjoyed every single day, and I wouldn't have changed a thing. Now, if that's the case, then you want to make sure that you don't change a thing, apart from the things that just make it better for you. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit lazy. And I tell you what, one of the things that's managed to reduce stress for me is, you know, when you go into a meeting, and people are saying, right, you're going to be here at a certain time, you've got a whole day full of meetings. I actually walk between the meetings now. I take my time between the meetings. I don't rush, get there early, get stressed. I take the time that allows me to recharge my batteries. And if I have to wait a little time, or if they have to wait a little time, that's just the way life is sometimes. But what I don't allow it to do is get me stressed up and worked up, because let's face it, you want to be at your optimum, you want to be at your very best. And if you're not your very best, then you're obviously no use to anybody. Now, one of the things that I've been doing for many years, I've been hosting Dubai Rugby Sevens. 15 years. 15 years. And one of the things that really stressed me out was when I first took over. I started off as a DJ. And many of you know, say you probably should still be a DJ. I started off as a DJ at Rugby Sevens. And one time I turned around to me and said, Dave, what we want you to do is want you to run it. All the entertainment are down to you. So I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do this. So I turned around and I thought, well, if I don't take the job, what's going to happen in the end is all my friends who work with me on the team, they're going to lose their jobs. Now, let's get this in mind. Almost all the guys who do Rugby Sevens have been there now for the best part of 10 years. I use almost the same team, very fiercely loyal to them, and same back, okay? So almost exactly the same team. So on the morning, I was stressed on my very first Rugby Sevens. Now, if you don't know about Rugby Sevens, I'm just throwing it out there. Emirates Airlines Dubai Rugby Sevens, the biggest event on the sporting calendar, bar the Grand Prix, and maybe, no, I think it's probably the biggest event on the Dubai sporting calendar, maybe the entire region here in GCC. And on that weekend, it's international rugby, beamed out to about 2 billion homes. And also 100,000 people coming along to the events, enjoying it live, and in the stadium where I go out with a microphone, there's about 45,000 people. So there's quite a lot of pressure there to get it right over 3 days. And the team do it every single year really well. So I'm going on the way to work. He said, picking his ear, sorry about that. I'm on the way to work, and I'm thinking, I'm driving on my red Jeep at the time, because when you get married, everything changes. Your budget says, just don't look so cool. So I'm driving along, and as I'm driving my car, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can handle this. My predecessor, who's no longer working on this gig, was great at doing it, but what if questions happen? What if people turn around to me and say, Dave, what happens if that happens, and what are you going to say about this, and what are you going to do about that? I had no idea. I'm going to find out I'm a fraud, that I'm making stuff up as I go along, and I'm not as good as I said I would be in looking after the entire event. And I was really getting stressed, and I got stressed for a couple of days before that. So anyway, so I'm driving along my Jeep, and I thought, well, you're a life coach, ask yourself better questions. Now this is a great tip for stress management, by the way. So I'm driving along, I'm thinking, ask myself a good question. Right, okay, here's the question. If I was to hire somebody to host the Emirates Airlines Dubai Rugby Sevens, who can run the team and look after it, who would I choose? So I started breaking it down as I'm driving. I didn't use my hands like this because you've got to drive. I'm thinking, okay, they've got to know the events. They've got to have been there for a couple of years. They've got to have a good team around them and knows their stuff. And they've got to be excellent practitioners of what they do. They've got to understand the crowd and rugby. I've also got to be able to work with the crowd and think on their feet. And if things go wrong, they've got to be the kind of person who can turn around and say, right, I know what to do next. Got to be somebody who's open to ideas. Got to be somebody who's flexible enough to talk to the bosses, but also somebody who they listen to, who's got enough gravitas to say, look, this is a good idea, let's go this way, and they will actually do it. I thought, well, if I was to get somebody in and hire them to do the job, who would I choose? I'm driving along, thinking along, who could it be? And I thought, Dave Crane. Me. I would be the best person for that job. I would hire me to do that job. So therefore, the fear, the insecurity, the stress I'm feeling right now must be natural. I am the best person who's going to come up with the best ideas. I've done the gig forever. I've got a great team. I get on really well with the bosses. I know the gig. I know the sport. I know entertainment. I am the best person to do that job. So therefore, whatever happens over this weekend, it's going to be a learning curve, and I might get it wrong, but I'm the best person to get it wrong because I understand how these things come together. And I'll learn better for next year. And I'll be open and honest about it as I do it with myself and my team, and just keep moving forward. Now this is major, because that weekend, we had a successful weekend. It's about 10 years ago when that happened. I've been running the entertainment, the Dubai Rugby Sevens, ever since. Now, in your life, you get stressed thinking, things are out of my control. Oh my goodness, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen next. What if this happens and that happens? These are all out of my control. Well, who's the best person to make decisions about your life? Who knows you better than anybody? Who's going to be stuck dealing with your bad decisions or your good decisions for the rest of your life? And who has a real incentive in getting it right? You. It's true. Everything you have in your life you created, or until this point things have happened to you and you let them happen. Well, now you're in charge. Now you are in charge of every decision you make for the rest of your life, and you can decide what is good or what is bad. And if you don't make that choice, then stop complaining about it. In fact, if you don't make that choice, that is also a choice. Fly attacking. So it's gone now. So that's your choice to not make a choice. So from now on, just take control and see it as a learning curve. You don't have to run a marathon, you just have to put one step in front of the other. But as you go along this journey and you get from A to B, it doesn't really matter how much stress you put yourself under. You're going to get there anyway. You can either get there happy or get there wound up. There's an amazing book called The Peaceful Warrior. I think it's called The Peaceful Warrior. And it's also a movie starring Nick Nolte. It's worth watching. And I'll finish on this point because I think that's enough for one session. In this movie, The Peaceful Warrior, they have this young lad who wants to become a gold-class Olympic gymnast. And so he's training, he's good, he's a bit of a rebel on a motorbike and all the rest of it. Anyway, for some strange reason, he ends up being coached by Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte! It doesn't sound like that, but not far off if you watch him. And Nick Nolte plays this petrol station attendant, and as a petrol station attendant, he was also a coach of an Olympic team or an Olympic gymnast team or whatever it is. So he knows the sport and he knows how to coach people to that level. So the young lad says, come on, coach me. So what he does is he teaches him lots of life lessons And it goes on and on and on. Eventually the kid becomes impatient. It says, look, enough now, enough. You said you were going to teach me how to do this. And all you've done is do philosophy all about ancient thoughts and religions and blah, blah, blah. When are you going to teach me? He says, right, tomorrow, 4 a.m., be here and put your boots on. We're going to go for a walk. So the next thing you see is them walking up in the hills. Beautiful sky, mountains, the cities down below, and the camera's following them. It's a gorgeous morning. And they're walking and walking and walking and walking and walking and walking. And eventually the kid says, enough walking. You said you were going to show me the secret of how to get success. You said you're going to teach me everything, and all we've done is walk. So Nick Nolte does this. He turns around, looks down, and picks up a rock. Says, this is what you're looking for, and hands him a stone. The kid goes crazy. He says, what's this? Why are you giving me a stone? What the hell is that going to do with anything? This stone can't be the answer to everything. He said, well, think about it. He says, when you woke up this morning, you were all excited about where we're going to go and what we're going to do and what we're going to learn. And all the way along, you couldn't stop talking about the fun and the energy, and you were a different person, full of endorphins, full of excitement. And we got to this point, and I picked up the rock. And now you're saying it's not right, but all the way until now, you were really happy. Because here's the key. It's not about the arrival. It's about the journey. Think about this. You're looking to be rich, famous, successful, happy, nice family, all these different things, and the great things to aim for. But the real key to life is how you get there. Like this kid, for instance, it's not being an Olympic gold medalist. You can buy a gold medal that says Olympics on it and you're an Olympic gold medalist. It's about the ability to get there and how you have to change to be there. Because then once you've got it, you can do it again and again and you can share it with other people. Right now, you're working out how to be the best in your life. And it's going to be a learning curve. Life goes up and down like that. You will get stressed and you will get bothered, but that's part of the excitement, part of the journey. Like having a splinter in your finger and you go, wow, that really hurts. Here's what I do. I take the splinter out because I'll be an idiot to keep it in, but then I feel the pain. And I go, wow, that's what a splinter feels like. That helps me feel that I'm alive, but also it tells me I don't want any more splinters in my finger. What happened to give that splinter? I ended up running and catching a table, or I picked up a stick or something, or I didn't look at where I was going and I grabbed something. Well, that's a big life lesson. Don't do that anymore. So part of your training, part of your reduction of stress is now to stop doing things that could cause you pain, but also to chill out and enjoy the whole situation. It's never, ever, ever about just getting results that you want. It's all about the journey, about the experience, and making sure that you enjoy every step of the way. Now that's just the philosophical side of stress management. I'll be giving you a ton of practical tips, do's and don'ts, and things you can alter. It's all mindsets, all perception. It's all the way that you react to stuff. But that's enough for one day. Give us your thoughts, and actually, if you'd like to, we've got the next couple of days, at least 2 days, to work on this. In the comments section, tell me an example about something that you're stressed about. It could be a bereavement, it could be losing your job, it could be just making ends meet, it could be not having a great relationship. Whatever it is, share it with me, let me know, and I promise you, without the name, I'll address the situation and give you my direct comments and thoughts on it. So then you'll be able to turn it around very quickly indeed. That's it for today. Have a wonderful day, and I'm going to spend the afternoon in the company of Audience Alive and John Quinn and his team. Fantastic guys. Google them, Audience Alive, the best trainers in presentations and PowerPoints, and they're just fantastic. And we're going to be talking about TED Talks. TED Talks. And I'll be sharing with you some wonderful insights in future days on how you can actually do a TED Talk. Fancy that? Well, stick around. Make sure you register and subscribe, and you'll get a bleep every time I go live. Meanwhile, that's it from me. I'm going to hit the gym, which means going all the way up to the roof. Up there. But maybe I won't actually climb. Maybe I'll go back inside, say hello to Maya, and chill out on the way. Chill out today, that's the key thing. Take it easy, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.